Okay. I'm obviously biased. I sit here, like I said, with my Eagles hoodie on, with my Eagles NFL ball in the background. I am biased, but I also feel very confident about this. Not only am I going to give you a prediction, I'm going to give you a bet builder. I'm going to give you a bet to put on a week out ahead of the game. Kendo, you're familiar with how I pick Super Bowls this year, and anyone who's kind of, listened to old shows of mine or followed me on socials and stuff like that will probably be sick of me here and say this, but I think I've got a tried and true tested method. I think last year's Super Bowl was the first time in about 8 or 9 years I didn't make money on a Super Bowl, and it just went the opposite way. But this method, more often than not, is how it's done. It's not about the X's and O's in the Super Bowl. It's about the Super Bowl is the sports movie, and it's about the narrative. Who is the more compelling narrative? So it's about figuring out like what is the storyline, and that's it. And then you kind of go backwards from there and work out, well, if that team has the best narrative, and it just works this way for whatever reason. We've seen it time after time after time where you have the best team and you have the team with the best narrative. It's like the Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning in his last ever game, hanging on by a thread to his career. He is not playing well. The team's not playing well against the Carolina Panthers, who are absolutely dominating in the season, and the Broncos still win just because that's the storyline. Nick Foles playing against the best replacement level quarterback the last time the Eagles were in the Super Bowl, playing against the greatest ever to do it in Tom Brady. There's no reasons for the Eagles to win that game. They won that game. So then you ask how that happens and what's the storyline we're hearing here. Okay, so you have the experience in Andy Reid, you have the experience in Patrick Mahomes, you have the MVP in waiting, you have the people that are just presumed constantly. Like Hurts didn't get a look in with a lot of the experts when it came to the MVP race, despite the fact that when it came to it, the Eagles were the best team in the NFL this season, and he was the reason why. That is what an MVP is. So if I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts should have won the MVP. I'm actually kind of happier that he didn't, because on Saturday, Mahomes is going to get it, and Jalen Hurts is going to have a fire lit up his arse. Nick Sirianni is going to go in there with everyone kind of questioning him and doubting him, which has been the case all season. When you look at kind of how the two teams got here, though, the Eagles finished 14-3 with an identical record as Kansas City, but they actually had the toughest strength of schedule in the league when you take the schedule or the records of the teams that they beat. The opposing win record of the teams that they beat in the league was 57%, whereas the Chiefs, it was just 51%. They beat the Lions, the Vikings, the Cowboys, the Jaguars, the Packers, the Titans, and the Cardinals when they still had Kyler Murray playing well. Throughout the season, and only lost one game when Hurts was healthy. So you have a coach and a star player who were the best team in the league whenever anyone was healthy, who are getting totally overlooked because it's Andy Reid and it's Patrick Mahomes. That is going to light a fire under their arse, and that is also going to create an element of complacency for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. So how are they going to do it? It's going to be a high-scoring game, but also as well, what you have to see and what you have to take into account is how the teams got there. The Eagles are capable of shutting great offenses down. I'm not going to say the 49ers were a great offense. They have a lot of great skill players, but didn't have a quarterback to drive it last week, thanks to Brock Purdy getting injured quite early. But also, when you look at the likes of the Minnesota game, when you look at the Cowboys game, when you look at the Jaguars game, when you look at like solid offenses that they played throughout the seasons, the Eagles can shut them down on defense. Kansas City cannot say the same. The Kansas City, you always will score 20 odd points against them, at least. I think the 50.5 over under is an easy over for me. I think this is going to be a high scoring game, but I think the Eagles are more capable of shutting down the Chiefs than the Chiefs are capable of shutting down the Eagles. So I'm going to have the Eagles to cover the minus 1.5 line. I think it may still be close, but like, I don't think it's going to be that close. I feel confident with that. I think it's going to take the over. The problem is when I do bet builders, I like to go handicap line, over under, and anytime touchdown scorer. The Eagles are very hard to pick an anytime touchdown scorer because we have like even running. If we score a running touchdown, is it going to come from Hurts, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott? Kenneth Gainwell was the running star in the championship game, so we don't know where that's going to come from. Hurts is often your safest bet, but even in terms of catching, you have Dallas Goedert, you have AJ Brown, you have Devontae Smith. You don't know who's going to actually make the catch or who's going to make the big play that sets up the catch in the red zone, you know? So again, it's it's just a case of like, I never bet the anytime touchdown scorer with the Eagles. I think it's easier for the Chiefs. Travis Kelce anytime. So Eagles minus 1.5, over 50.5, Travis Kelce anytime. And I feel confident with that. So I'm gonna go there. But again, I could be totally biased. I may be on this show this week completely disconsolate and heartbroken. So you never know. We could get blown out as well.